It's a great day to be in life now. I am your host, Coach TMB, and I am super excited about bringing this episode of the show with you on today. We have sitting here in the studio with us the president of the NAACP Greater Grand Rapids chapter, Mr. Cle Jackson. Let's welcome him into the show. How are you, Cle?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an honor. I mean, I'm like a kid in the candy store.
I am too in this beautiful studio.
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, Cle, you know, we know that you have your hands in many things going on here in the city, but for those who are watching this show who may not know who you are, why don't you just take a moment to just share a little bit about the man Cle outside of taking care of business?
Just a little, huh? Well, born and raised, so I'm a Grand Rapidian. I went to Our Lady of Sorrows School, elementary, and then went to Iroquois Middle, the old Iroquois, and then which was actually the old Ottawa, and then went to Ottawa Hills High School and graduated from Ottawa, and then went out to the East Coast and went to undergrad in the DC area, and stayed out there for about 10 years, and then majored in political science and international studies, and eventually came back to West Michigan.
Came back
home. We all come back, huh?
Yeah, you come back. What was life like for you, you know, or how was life to have the opportunity to leave and then come back? Because I hear things, and it's all good, but it changes people in certain ways.
It does. You know, it gives you a different perspective. It really widens your lens. And because West Michigan is West Michigan, it's one conservative, and it gets very cold here.
Yes,
very, and being out on the East Coast, specifically in the DC Maryland area, is very international. In the university I went to was very international as well. So
wow, what? Now, you know, I really feel like you're going to be a blessing to so many people as we get ready to talk about the work of the NAACP. But because you've been involved in community work for so long, coming out of college, was that something you knew you were going to get involved in?
You know, that's an excellent question. It's interesting because we grew up, I consider myself an NAACP baby, right?
Okay.
Because it was an expectation. Our parents had all of us involved in NAACP. It was really a family mandate. We had to be involved in NAACP, the Urban League, and so we had to be a part of these historical black organizations. And so actually, the NAACP gave me I got a small scholarship when I was in college, and I always knew I would give back and get reconnected, and I just didn't know it would be in this
this
way.
capacity.
Right, this capacity, right? And so it was very interesting because I actually got reconnected to the NAACP through my work with Blue Cross of Michigan, and I was the liaison between the Blues and the NAACP office here.
That's rich. So leading into you becoming president, what were some of the things that you were doing prior to being ushered into that position?
That's a big question. Well, you know, I've always worked for Blue Cross of Michigan, so I've been with the Blues for, it'll be 20 years
20
this
years,
year.
wow.
And so I was on the provider side, and in the past 10 years I moved into the community relations side. And it was interesting, so I really started to get a feel for what was happening in terms of the philanthropy area in West Michigan. And so just got involved with that through work, and got again reconnected with NAACP and many other organizations, but I come from a very service-oriented family, so it's a part of our DNA, right? So we were always taught to give back, even though you know, we didn't have a lot ourselves. It was about service. And
That's
so
rich.
With my parents, I have 15 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
And so, yeah, 10
Where
sisters.
are you in the...
I'm the youngest. So
oh,
I'm
my
the last.
God.
I'm the baby. right. And so so my parents kept us involved because they had to, and so
Wow.
it was again a part of our DNA, and so it was just natural. It was a natural progression.
You just knew. Now, what does NAACP stand for? And then the second part is, who is this organization for?
So the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People started in 1909. We were chartered. The movement really started in 1908. It was started by Ida B. Wells and a number of other individuals. But the interesting history about the NAACP was actually started by 9 white Americans who were descendants of abolitionists, right? And so at that time in 1908, it was a period where black folks were being lynched.
That's right.
For no reason, right? And so you had these 9 individuals to say this is just not righteous, and so we need to start this organization. And so they invited Ida B. Wells and others to join in this effort, and so it started there and it spread out across the country. So currently we have over 2,000 branches.
2,000 branches?
2,000.
Okay.
Over 500,000 members.
Wow, that is amazing.
I think we have maybe about 30 branches in the state of Michigan.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, prior to you taking on the president's position, what were some of the things that you were seeing, Cle, taking place in the community that made you say, you know what, I got to do something about this?
Well, where do you want me to start?
I know that's like a blanket.
That's a mouthful.
Yes.
You know, when I looked at, you know, just the academic achievement levels and the gaps in that area, especially for, you know, children of color,
Yes.
Specifically black kids and Latino kids, and the graduation rates in the public schools here. So that bothered me. It concerned me. And also when I looked at the high incarceration rates of black men specifically, in our encounters with negative encounters with the judicial system, you know, that bothered me. When I looked at the health disparities, you know, specifically in the African American community, and how much work still needs to be done on that front, you know, that bothers me. And I look at the voter apathy in many communities, not just the black community, but many communities, and so that bothered me. And so it was important for me to get involved.
Can you talk about, Cle, some of the maybe programs or services that are available through the NAACP?
Sure. So I was appointed in March of 2014, and then I was elected in November of 2014. Okay. And so my whole focus really over the past year and a half has really been to reintroduce the branch, local branch. So
because it was quiet for a while.
It was very quiet.
Yes.
Let's tell the truth and shame the devil. And so, but we were always active. The phenomenal thing about that, however, is that the branch has been around for 96 years. So we celebrated our 96th year to birthday this year. And so on a very limited budget, and the lights were still kept on, but we needed to reintroduce. There needed to be some vibrancy, I'll say that, infused back into the organization. So over the past year, I've really been focusing on building the foundation of the NAACP.
Oh, that's rich.
And so I looked at 3 things when I came on board. They were membership, recruitment, retention, organizational leadership, looking at our board of trustees and saying, hey, we need to create a pipeline of future leaders, of younger leaders, and then looking at financial stability. How do we position ourselves to be here and to be around another 95, 96 years? And so I'm glad to say, you know, half of our board is between the ages of 26 and 35, 30, 30,
That
35.
is amazing.
And so we're fully digitized now. When I took over, when I was appointed,
Yes.
we were working off of a Packard Bell computer with Windows 98.
Wow. Wow. And people are like, what is that?
And people are like, what is that, right? And so now we have new technology. We have all of our social media sites up and different things like that. And so the last year and a half, we've been really focused on community police relationships, and specifically police brutality and harassment. And so over the past year here, in partnership with Link, in partnership with the Urban League, we were able to get 12 reforms passed here, right in the city of Grand Rapids, to try to prevent some of these things from happening, like outfitting all 300 officers with body cams.
Yes, that was amazing. That was
Yeah.
a huge movement. And
It was huge. It was huge. But the other thing, a part of that, was the fact that, so we looked at the body cams, but we also wanted to look at the city administration overall, not just the police department. So we wanted to look at the hiring policies and practices and employees. And so I'm glad to say we just completed that task force, and so the city will be rolling out those recommendations.
That is amazing, amazing. I want to go back to a word that you just shared, and I believe it's very important. I want you to expound on this. But you said coming in, you had to like recreate or build the foundation. That's an important nugget in anything. Business, starting an organization, rebranding an organization, and even just us personally, in our personal lives. And I feel like there's something in you to just really help some people today. But what is it, how important is it to make sure your foundation is secure?
It's critically important, especially, when you look at the challenges that we're faced with. The NAACP is the oldest civil rights organization in the country. So we have the brand, right? But from a local perspective, we needed to shore up that foundation. Because I tell people all the time, I said, if you don't know and if you don't understand, more now than ever, we need a strong NAACP. And in order to do that, you have to make sure that foundation is tight and that the programs are in place order to impact all of these areas of inequity that we're dealing with.
That's good. Now, another initiative that you're working on, and you kind of alluded to it, but you brought up the police department, and there is something that the NAACP is working on in that regard with being intentional, can I say it like that, about bringing more people of color or getting them to become interested in becoming a police officer. Can you talk about that?
I'm glad you mentioned that. So we started looking at this work with from a perspective of how do we help to improve community police relationships, and then what can we do as an organization to help recruit, retain, and attract officers of color, specifically black officers. So in 2014, we launched the Hazel R. Lewis Law Enforcement Scholarship. And so we put that in place to honor our immediate past president, Mrs. Lewis, but also to provide some sort of financial support for individuals that are going through the police academy, and specifically individuals of color, black individuals, male, female, and so we launched that in 2014, and are looking hopefully to award the first scholarship soon, and then try to also get some matching funds for that, because it is important. It costs about 10 grand to go through a police academy here, one of the ones locally, and there really is no financial assistance for those young men or women to do that, and so we wanted to try to be a support to that.
What are some, so with that being said, what are some of the challenges, Cle, that you're seeing with that? Because let's just be real, the police really don't have, how do I want to say this? The people that live in the black and brown communities don't have great experiences with the police. So how can we get them to change that mindset, if you will, to want to be, I guess, to want to serve as a police officer? Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Okay.
And it's excellent. It's an excellent question because, you know, I was telling Chief Rahinsky, so we got to start here. So we got to grow our own.
Yes, come on.
Because, I mean, the reality of it is that we, in terms of the black community, that's law enforcement is not a #1 choice for us.
Come on.
I mean, that's the reality of it. But so that's why it's important to start young and to introduce young kids to this law enforcement field. And helping them to understand that you just don't have to be a police officer, but we need judges, we need prosecutors, we need detectives, we need individuals in that field across the board. But we got to start young, and that's what it takes. And then the other piece of that is that back in the day when I grew up, we knew our community police officers.
Talk about
knew
that.
their officers.
Was it officer friendly?
Yeah, officer friendly, exactly. Remember, the officers used to come to your school and your elementary school on a regular basis. And so there was no fear, right?
Yes.
So they tried to minimize the historical fear that's real, right? And we don't want to ignore that. But there was more interaction with the community. We all knew, they walked the streets. They knew us
That's
by
true.
name. And so we're trying to get back to that.
I like that. What are some other things that the NAACP is working on right now to, I guess, create more community engagement?
So one of the things, you know, we started this series called Journey for Justice, Rights, Responsibilities, and Reform. And we wanted to focus on, what is the responsibility not only of law enforcement, but what are our responsibilities when we engage with law enforcement officials? And so we started that series, and we had some community conversations at Baxter Community Center. And we want to really pick that up again because I think it was very impactful and powerful just to have people or allow people a platform to talk and discuss directly with Chief Rahinsky and his staff about some of the concerns and issues that they have in the community. And so we want to pick that back up. One of the other things that we're really focusing on now is voter empowerment and education. With the passage of the two Senate bills, Senate Bill SB13 and Senate Bill S16.
Can you tell us what those are?
And so the S13 is the Senate bill that speaks to the straight ticket voting. And so that bill will potentially have a huge impact on communities of color. Because now no longer can you just vote straight Democratic or Republican. And so you actually have to go down the ballot and look very closely at each person or ballot initiative on that ballot, and you can so you can't just vote straight Democratic or straight Republican. And so that is amazing. Now you just enlightened a lot of people, and I want you to kind of go there for a moment because you're talking about voting, and you know, we went through a lot to have voting rights. People of color did. How important is it, Cle, that we in the black and brown communities use our power through the vote? I know you wasn't expecting me to ask you that question. No, but that's good. So we look at the situation right now that has happened in Flint, right? And not only the Flint water crisis, but crises across this entire country that's happening on the local level. And that's why I say all politics are local, right? And so those local officials are elected directly by the people, by the populace. And so it is very important who you put in that seat to represent you and to respond to your concerns, right? And so we're really going to be out over the next 12 months, you know, not even 12 months anymore, what it's 10.
Already
to really help people understand what voter empowerment looks like, what it feels like, what it means, and why civic engagement is so important.
Oh my goodness, it is so important. You just struck a chord with me, because there's too many, in my opinion, there's too many people that are not aware
Absolutely.
of this information, and I know it's hard work, it's strenuous work, but we have to figure out ways to get this information out there, and then once it's presented, we need people to show up when it's time to vote.
We need people to show up. We need people to show up. And you know what? We need people to show up and stop sitting on the sidelines. Because the question, I asked the question, the people who will forever be impacted by situations like what's happening in Flint, right? Will they vote moving forward? Did they vote before this happened, right? And the very people that are in office right now currently are the ones that are impacting their livelihood.
Oh my God.
And that's powerful. And so I hope across this country that we really get it, how important our vote and our voice is. And you know, I get passionate about it because, I mean, there are things that are happening in this country, and we are sitting back and allowing to happen to us as a direct result of the people we put in these offices.
You've spoken volumes, and I had the opportunity of just really getting a grasp of that lesson just this last year, you know, with my husband running for a seat in the 3rd Ward. And it was just literally amazing how many people we came across that were not aware, totally not aware. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna move on to the next thing.
You said that's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show, please. A whole nother show. But tell the audience, where can they go to get more information about the NAACP? And then my second question to that is there a membership? And I think you kind of touched on that earlier.
There is. There's so they can, if they want more information, they can go to NAACPGR on Facebook, NAACPGR on Twitter, and then we have a website which is NAACPGR.com. And so they can get information at any of those 3 social media sites. The minimum membership is like $30 for an annual regular adult membership. And so
that's good. And you all offer something for the young adults, like I'm gonna mess this up, but like the 12-year-olds and unders or something like that?
Yeah, we have. So there's a youth membership. So youth memberships start like at 12 and then to 25. So those memberships are $10, and that's a year. And then we have some junior memberships as well that that we will, you know, you can get. So
I think that's important, and it means a lot, because you said that your parents started with you as a little thing. And here you are now, an adult, and you're president of the Grand Rapids chapter. So it's important that we teach our kids, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. So listen, you are just touching so many lives in ways you probably are not even aware of, Cle. As you look back over your life, I mean, we're in 2016. Did you ever think that, you know, God would use you in such a way to be a voice?
You know, it's interesting because, you know, the one thing that I do know and I understand that this is not me. It's definitely something that's much higher than me. And so if it was totally my decision, honestly, I don't know if I would be doing this. And so
that's rich.
And so it's clearly a God thing, right?
Yes.
And so I just don't know. And so but you never know what road you're going to be taken down. But for me, it's my passion, and it's important, and I'm committed. You know, I'm committed to helping somebody, right? That's just who I am. And so I hope that the work that I do, the example that I lead, will rub off on somebody else, and that they will do the same thing.
That is absolutely amazing, what you just shared. And you know, I'm big on purpose. I'm a life coach. That's my thing. And you talked about passion, And I find it amazing that one can know what their purpose is,
Right.
but then you don't really know until you actually step off into it and begin to walk. And you begin to discover that there's other potential that was in you that you knew nothing of.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't know that one day you would be sitting on In Life Now TV
No,
as
I
the
didn't.
president.
I did not. I did not.
Yeah, and I didn't know that one day I would become a host,
Right,
a TV
exactly,
host.
Exactly, and it's you know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is amazing. I was telling someone yesterday evening. I said I was so shy as a kid, being
Wow.
15, the last of 15. I was shy. I was just.
I can relate to that too.
You know, and then so to be doing some of the things that I'm doing right now is I sit back and I have to laugh sometimes. I'm like,
wow,
man, this is something. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Right. So listen, Cle, there are many men who are watching you right now, and you are a man that is doing many great things here in the community. I want you to look into that camera over there, and I want you to speak to those men who, especially our African American men who are watching you right now, who are at a place of feeling hopelessness and feeling like, this is just all that life has to offer me. Speak some words of encouragement to those men.
This camera here?
Yes.
So, I want to say to my brothers, and I say this in all sincerity, is that you matter, right? You matter. I see you. Many others in this community see you. Not only do we see you, but we honor you, we respect you, and we need you. All of these young men out here, they need you. And it's important for you to get in the game, to stay in the game, and to help in this, as what we call this struggle, and we got your back.
I love it. You know what? I have thoroughly enjoyed my time talking with you, and I'm definitely going to have to bring you back. We might have to do some segments every so often to talk about some of the issues going on.
That'd be great.
That NAACP is working to address right now in our community. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. You were a blessing.
Thank you.
You were a blessing.
I appreciate it.
You're
It's
so
an
welcome.
honor.
Yes. Well, family, that's it. Yeah, I could keep on going, but I have to be respectful of Mr. Jackson's time. I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to tune into this show. It's been a blessing and an honor for us to be able to serve you in this capacity. Remember always that you are valuable, you are somebody that is special, and most importantly, your life does have purpose. I don't know who that message is for, but if it hit you right here in your heart, that message was for you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. And remember, as I always say, to live your best life in life. Until next time.